Hello, everybody. This is Gregory with 5-Minute Catholic Apologetics, where 5 minutes of your time may get you to the divine. Today, we're going to talk about the essential deification of the body at the expense of the soul that we see in the secular world today, and how this is very perilous to us. Now, before we begin, let's start with a prayer. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritui Sancti. Amen. Gloria Patri et Filio et Spiritui Sancto, secutor in principio et nunc et semper et in saecula saeculorum. Amen. If you guys watch these episodes chronologically, you know that I was under the weather in the last episode, so I am feeling better, but I still have my cap on. So today we're going to talk about what we see in the world today, which is kind of the humanist movement. And like the humanist movement really goes back 500 years, but more in this kind of transhumanist movement we've seen the last 50 years or so, that essentially the end all and be all is the human, and we want to push the human to the greatest expanse it could be in its greatest limits. And normally this comes at the expense of our soul. So wherever you look in the secular world, you'll see everything that says optimize the body, please the senses, please the hedonism. So what is it? Plastic surgery. Take all the trips you need. Live outside your means. You'll see guys with anorexia work out all the time. Women, Instagram thoughts, as we call them, that hoe over there. Instagram thoughts. Women, right? They're always pushing the perfect body. And of course, this just leads to poor teenage girls having eating disorders and depression and all these things. Oh, you're not happy? Divorce your spouse. Get a new one. Or go your own way and just have indiscriminate sex with anybody you want. Take trips all around the world. Do yoga. Do kundalini yoga and possibly get possessed by a demon. You know, it's always these glorification of the body. And look, that's not to say you shouldn't take care of your body. Paul talks about in 1 Corinthians that our body is a temple, right? And why would we sully our body with a prostitute? You know, so it is important to be good stewards of our body. This is why I'm not a big proponent of excessive tattooing or even tattooing at all, or piercing or anything of these things that proponents of it would say is self-expression. I would tell you go write a poem if you want to self-express. So I am more of a proponent of we are stewards of the body, and our job is to be in the best physical shape that we can be for our body. But what you see is the idolatry of the body. It's the over-worship of the body. And I don't think I'm telling you anything that's revelatory here. We see it every day with the plastic surgery and the fake faces and just the kind of portrait of Dorian Gray, pursue hedonism at all costs. And I would tell you, look, is it possible to do all these things at not at the expense and sacrifice of your soul? Possibly, but like we've talked about in one of the early videos, does wealth endanger your soul? I think there's enough scriptural evidence to suggest that yes, it could possibly endanger your soul, and that therefore if you're very wealthy, I think 1 Timothy 5 does last chapter of 1 Timothy does the best job of like what you're supposed to do if you're very wealthy. But you just have to be more vigilant. And I think in this case, everything we hear, if you're not involved in your church, is the deification of the body. And of course, the irony is your body's going to decompose no matter what. So really take care of it the best you can. You should work out and so forth and eat well because your body's a temple. You don't want to defame it, so to speak, by eating poorly and getting obese, because that's going to shorten your life expectancy, and that's going to affect your family and affect your overall quality of health, and you're going to get comorbidity of other diseases and all these things. But I think, of course, there needs to be more of an emphasis on your soul. Christ even says it, and I quote this all the time. He even says, right, don't worry about those who could take your body. Worry about taking their soul. Those who could take your soul. And so, how do we cultivate and nourish and take care of our soul? Because the body, yes, eat well, sleep well, take your vitamins, exercise, and that's it. Don't fall for these snares of I got to take 7 trips a year, even if I'm in debt all the time. I got to get plastic surgery. I have to get the new sports car and the new house. We've talked about this, the 2 things that you need in your life to be happy. We've talked about this in several episodes, how you have to be aware of these false prophets. So what do you need to do to cultivate your soul? Well, protect it, virtue, especially if you have children, of course. But you, as an adult, have to protect your soul and live a virtuous life. What does this mean? Men, got to stay away from the porn. Because that is an attack on your soul. Absolutely. Safeguard yourself. I have an episode here why you should only immerse yourself in Catholic content. If we're watching the more risque stuff on HBO or on Skinamax or whatever it is, that stuff just chips away at your soul. And you might not even notice it because we're so immersed in this world of hedonism and sin and vice and whatever vice is virtue and whatever virtue is vice now. Certainly, abortion chips away at your soul, takes a little piece of your soul away. Because you think about it, you sacrificed a life so you could possibly have a better life or continue to live a lifestyle that you wanted. So, I mean, post-abortive syndrome is very common, and unfortunately, it's not really covered as much as it should be. But certainly that hurts your soul as well. Christ forgives those who commit these heinous crimes, of course. But at the same time, we want to safeguard prophylactically our soul by avoiding these things. We have the episode on Galatians. We have the works of the flesh versus the fruits of the Holy Spirit. We want to focus on pursuing the works of the Holy Spirit, which are going to be patience and kindness and all these things, and avoid the works of the flesh, which of course is envy, slander, fornication, and all the things that we know. What else can you do to protect your soul aside from keeping yourself in a land of virtue and chastity and so forth? Well, of course, the sacraments. I mean, God gave us the sacraments. Christ gave us the sacraments for a reason. It's to help us through the day, to protect us. Right? We have that episode. Those who persevere will get to heaven. Christ says this thrice. And what gifts did he give us after he left? Sacraments. So yes, if you fall, we all fall. Go to confession. Receive the Eucharist when you're in a state of grace. Receive the last rites at the end of your life. Clearly, I'm assuming all of you have the sacraments of initiation. But receive the sacraments, of course. Pray. Pray unceasingly, like 1 Thessalonians. Pray, pray, pray. If you want to do the rosary, that's fine. If you want to do novenas, chaplets of divine mercy, ad hoc, made-up prayers that you like, I don't care. But pray, 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 pray. What else? Do your works of mercy, your works of charity. Again, Matthew 25, and we have episodes here on it before. Going to church every Sunday is not sufficient. It's just not sufficient. We have to practice a combination of the 14 works of mercy, corporal or spiritual. These are there not only to help our fellow man, right? Great commandment that Christ gives us. We have to love our neighbor as ourselves. We have to reach out, Matthew 25, judgment of nations. We know that, but it's also good for our soul. It's good for our soul when we help the sick, or we inform the ignorant and pray for the dead and all the different works of mercy. It's good for us. So in closing, limit, expose, or eliminate any chatter in your life that's telling you, oh, buy this. You won't be happy. And this is advertising, right? You won't be happy until you buy XYZ product. Until then, your life is miserable. You see depression drug commercials always do this, right? The woman's in a dark room, music sad, and then take Zoloft, and then what? Music changes. Now the room lights up, and now she's got the perfect telegenic family. Right? So don't fall for this nonsense. It's not the deification of the body. You don't risk your soul at the expense of your body, because your body's going to be gone. We're all going to get old and flabby. And on one level, who cares? Who cares? It's all about persevering until the end. It's about being the best Catholics that we can be, and that's doing works of mercy, receiving the sacraments, treating our brothers like ourselves, treating people with kindness and respect. Again, focus on the works of the Holy Spirit, the fruits of the Holy Spirit, I should say, mentioned in Galatians, and be the best person that you can be, and stay away from these snares and the siren song that you hear from society about deifying the body, because ultimately, in most cases, that's going to be at risk of your soul, and you could end up going to hell because of that. So don't fall for that. Guys, post in the comments. I would love to hear from you. Please hit the notification, subscribe, and share button. It helps with the algorithm with YouTube, and share with other people. Until next time, take care, God bless, and pray.